Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. He is assisted by the Department of Transportation Secretary Arthur Planta Tugade, together with the Commandant, Philippine Coast Guard, Admiral Elson Hermogino.
Sa magnanakaw na tao.
We request everyone to please be seated. Thank you.
Ikaw ang mag-aahon sa piling mo.
To welcome us all in this momentous occasion, may we request the Commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard, Admiral Elson Hermogino.
President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, President of the Republic of the Philippines, Secretary Arthur Tugade of the Department of Transportation, His Excellencies, and other members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Cabinet present, former Commandants of the Philippine Coast Guard present, the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Carlito Galvez, fellow workers in the government, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with profound honor and gratitude that I welcome you all today as we mark the Philippine Coast Guard's 117th year in serving our maritime nation. For over a century, calamities, sea mishaps, lawlessness at sea, and other maritime threats have been consistently challenging the Coast Guard service, along with its aging fleet and limited resources. However, with the administration's continued trust to the Philippine Coast Guard, we have been able to rise up stronger and steadfast to our resolve to serve the people. We assure everyone that the support being extended to the PCG is not in vain. During the Marawi crisis, the PCG was tasked to secure Lake Lanao and the surrounding waters of Marawi. The PCG was also designated by the Department of Transportation as captain of the ports to ensure security and sustain operations in all ports of Mindanao while government forces were fighting the terrorists. PCG's task was instrumental in preventing reinforcements and cutting the supply chain of the Mauti terrorist group. Over the years, the PCG and other government forces have been combating pirates and terrorists who continue to threaten the international shipping community, whose 13,000 international ships are transiting annually through our sea lanes in southern Philippines, particularly the Cebu Passage. But during the last 10 months of this year, we are happy to announce that our efforts resulted in 0 piracy incidents. The substantial increase in budget allocation and additional personnel, the arrival of floating assets from Japan, which includes 10 multi-role response vessels, have enhanced PCG's capabilities in performing its mandates. The PCG also received the 10 anti-terrorist rigid hull inflatable boats committed by Prime Minister Shinzo Abe during the visit of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte to Japan. In support of the President's anti-illegal drugs campaign, the PCG made sure that its assets and personnel are available for joint operations with the Philippine National Police and the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. The joint one-time, big-time illegal drug interdiction operations in Cebu recently led to the arrest of 55 suspects and the seizure of 240 sachets of illegal drugs, firearms, and explosives. 18 million pesos worth of shabu in Dumangas Port, Iloilo were confiscated last January, and 800 pesos worth of shabu in Osamis Port, Osamis City were seized last month. Intensified operations against illegal movement of firearms, meanwhile, resulted in the confiscation of 46 units of caliber 45 pistols at Sambuan, Cebu, 10 pieces of caliber 38 revolvers and 4 pieces of caliber 45 pistols in Samar, and 3 firearms, drugs, and paraphernalia on board a cargo vessel in Cavite. In our drive against smuggling, the PCG, together with the NBI, intercepted a Micronesia-bound passenger ship with 139 people on board for alleged human trafficking. We also foiled the smuggling of 120 million pesos worth of rice in Zamboanga, Sibugay, and 22,025 kilo packs of rice in Basilan, and the 23,000 sacks of rice which was reported earlier missing but fortunately recovered in time. While we remain tough against those who violate the laws of the sea, at the heart of the PCG is its humanitarian mission. During the onslaught of typhoons, there was no major maritime incident reported because of the proactive measures we took on the movement of vessels. Unfortunately, the heavy rains of Pompong triggered massive landslide in Itogon, Benguet, and Naga City, Cebu. During those unfortunate times, the PCG, our K9 units, and our partners in the PCG auxiliary lent a hand in the search and rescue and retrieval operations. The PCG also undertook several medical mission flights to evacuate 82 patients during the dengue outbreak in Itbayat, Batanes last June, despite having only one operating aircraft. While these have been the highlights of our humanitarian missions, there have been countless heroic deeds of rescuing fishermen lost at sea and passengers of sinking or aground ships and seafarers on board international ships requiring emergency medical evacuation. Our efforts have resulted in assisting 3,931 persons in distress nationwide. Meantime, true to our commitment to protect and preserve the marine environment, the PCG has deployed its patrol vessels in Boracay during its rehabilitation. Likewise, during the island's 5-month closure period, the PCG used this opportunity to train 200 local residents to become lifeguards of resorts, beaches, and tourboat operators to improve their skills in saving lives. To further ensure security coverage and operations in Boracay, the PCG will ground break the construction of the radar station in Mount Luho. This radar station is critical in monitoring vessel movement and in preventing the possible entry of terrorist elements in the island and its vicinity. Aside from the radar station in Boracay, the PCG will also build 20 other radar stations in critical areas in Mindanao, particularly in Samba Sulta, Palawan, and popular tourist destinations. 10 of these radars will be locally funded, while the other 10 will be donated by the Japanese government. On the issue of the West Philippine Sea, the Philippine Coast Guard, pursuant to the President's guidance, met with the leadership of the Chinese Coast Guard. The two agencies agreed to put up a hotline communication mechanism which will provide direct communication link between China Coast Guard and Philippine Coast Guard. The system seeks to facilitate coordination in search and rescue, piracy, drug trafficking, environmental protection, and other maritime issues under the purview of the joint Coast Guard cooperations. While we pursue the path of Coast Guard diplomacy, the PCG continues to modernize and strengthen its force. the 82 offshore patrol vessel being constructed in France is expected to be delivered in September next year, while two 94-meter multi-role response vessels from Japan are scheduled to be delivered in 2021 and 2022. This will definitely improve our capability as we protect our maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea and the Philippine Rise. Just last week, 2 of the 4 patrol boats from France were commissioned in the Philippine Coast Guard service, witnessed by Secretary Carlos Dominguez of the Department of Finance. The other 2 will be arriving next month. This will be utilized for joint anti-smuggling operations with the Bureau of Customs, as we just recently signed the Memorandum of Agreement for joint operations of the patrol boats to further strengthen anti-smuggling operations. Aside from modernizing our capital assets, we also put premium on our human resources. We would like to thank our partner countries such as the United States of America, China, South Korea, Japan, Australia, and Sweden for advancing the skills and education of our personnel. We also would like to extend our appreciation to the International Container Terminal Services Incorporated, or ICTSI, and the Rotary Club of Alabang Lampara for partnering with the Philippine Coast Guard in initiating the first ever award of its kind, the Lapu-Lapu Award for Maritime Professionals, or LAM. The award is bestowed to those who have excelled in the fields of maritime search and rescue, maritime safety, maritime security, maritime law enforcement, and marine environmental protection. This year, the Philippine Coast Guard will have the honor to be granted with the first set of awards, which will also be extended to other professionals in the maritime industry in the succeeding years. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, may I have the honor to present to you this year's awardees. Captain Rolando Lisor Ponsalan for Maritime Safety. Captain Nelson B. Torre for Maritime Law Enforcement. Captain Inocencio C. Rosario Jr. for Marine Environmental Protection. Lieutenant Commander Erwin T. Tolentino for Maritime Security. And Lieutenant Ephraim Jason Disciano for Maritime Search and Rescue. Congratulations, gentlemen, and thank you. Seek to modernize and strengthen the Philippine Coast Guard because it is our country's first line of defense. We guard our vast maritime borders 24/7 because we cannot let threats to our nation's safety and security reach our shores. At the same time, when disaster strikes, we respond with urgency and without hesitation. This has been the Philippine Coast Guard's commitment, and we have firmly kept it in the last 117 years. Through time, maritime challenges have ever evolved, but so has the Philippine Coast Guard. Thanks to the Department of Transportation, Secretary Arthur Togado, sir, and President Rodrigo Roa Duterte for the full support in improving the PCG's capability. As we invest in modernizing our resources, I trust that the men and women of the Philippine Coast Guard will find renewed drive to step up their performance and service to the nation. This is how we build confidence among stakeholders and cultivate the blue economy we hope to grow. In harmony with the Department of Transportation Trust, the PCG shall ensure safe and secure maritime transport network to provide comfortable life to the riding public and the Filipino people. Again, welcome to the Philippine Coast Guard's 117th anniversary celebration. Mabuhay ang tanod baybayin ng Pilipinas. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.